Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new energy space we're now in, that is Pluto in Aquarius. I'm Ms. Eden, and I am so happy you're joining me for this deep dive into Pluto in Aquarius energy, past, present, and future. So we're going to take a look at many different aspects of this Pluto in Aquarius cycle that we have now entered to as of today. So November 19th, 2024. Pluto officially moves into Aquarius and leaves Capricorn behind for good. So buckle up, y'all, because it's a whole new world that's coming. We are going to do a little overview first, family, just to give you a rundown. Let's do a little overview of Pluto and Aquarius themes, things to keep in mind. We'll talk a lot about the astrology as we're going through this. And then we'll get into previous Pluto in Aquarius cycles. Now, one thing, if you've been following me for a while, actually, even if you have been following me for a while, I haven't shared this little tidbit about my love of history, of art, of mythology, and symbology especially. I am tickled by whatever kind of connections I can find between communities, cultures, and anything and everything in between. So I am excited to do a little bit of a historical dive into past Pluto and Aquarius cycles, and what we can glean from those cycles as we move into our present iteration of Pluto in Aquarius. And then, of course, when we talk future, it's more just things to keep in mind with these themes. Of course, though, there can be no predictions made from anyone, even the best of astrologers, about what's to come. So all we can do is really look at the patterns and then share our kind of intuitive knowing and understanding, of course, about the astrology and the greater themes with you, okay? And then we can kind of see how that plays out in the world around us. So Pluto has now moved into Aquarius from the sign of Capricorn as of today. And it is, again, I'll say the date, it is November 19th, 2024. It will transit through Aquarius until January 2044. Yeah. So it's a long transit. Pluto transits through a sign. Outer planets, because they move slower through our zodiac wheel, their transits are usually felt collectively more outward. Not that we individually don't feel these influences very strongly. We do. However, we tend to see a lot more shifting in the outer world on the mass scale around us during these kinds of transits. And the big thing that's coming up with Pluto in Aquarius, I should say not just Pluto in Aquarius, is bigger picture. We are entering into a cycle that, frankly, we've never been through before as humanity. And part of that is because we have, I believe I don't even want to say most, all of the outer planets are changing signs within a very short time frame, within a few years of each other. Now, that doesn't happen too often. A few years may not feel like a very short time frame, but cosmically, on the universal time scale, a few years is nothing, right? So all of the outer planets are in the process of changing signs, and many of them are leaving, excuse me, heavier earth and water signs, and they are moving into lighter, freer air and fire signs. Okay, so Pluto is moving from Capricorn, a heavier earth sign, into Aquarius, a lighter air sign. Okay, we also, this time is very much unique for us as humanity because of the position of our planet and our solar system in the galaxy, in the universe right now. There are cycles, even larger cycles, that our planets go through. Because remember, our solar system is not just stagnant in one place in our universe. We are constantly moving through the universe. So with that, we are similar to how we move around the sun. There's like almost a cyclical nature of how we move around our galaxy. And the space we are in now, the planet Earth that we have are going to be in for a while, I believe. I'm not sure the exact time frame, but we are entering into, or we are in this photon belt. So a lot of energy, a lot of comets, asteroids, a lot of just a lot of energy coming at planet Earth, where perhaps in other cycles of Pluto and Aquarius, we weren't in that particular position and location in our galaxy. So these cycles where we're moving around the galaxy are timed at about every 12,500 years. So again, we make one full rotation every 12,500 years. And we are now entering this space in this cycle around our galaxy where time is speeding up a little bit. Again, as we enter this photon belt, it's almost like, I've heard it referenced kind of like a rubber band or a slingshot. Kind of think about how it'll, at certain spaces in a curve, it'll move slower, and then a certain space, it'll move a little bit faster. So there's kind of that effect going on where like time almost feels like it's speeding up. We also are entering into a very strong period for our solar cycle. So the sun goes through cycles I don't know exactly, I'm not an astronomer, so you'd have to look it up a little bit, but the sun has cycles where it is emitting more solar activity and releasing more solar flares, etc., than in other periods. So we are entering the peak of this current solar cycle in 2025. So all that needs to be taken into consideration about just how big of a shift and a change we are stepping forward onto, like this new path, this unknown path for humanity. All right. And we don't need to meet it with fear. So let's go through it. Okay. Let's knowledge is power. Knowledge is power, y'all. Pluto in Capricorn. Let's backtrack a little bit before we go way back. But let's backtrack a little bit to Pluto in Capricorn and talk about that energy and what we're moving away from, what we're seeing fall away and break down, because Pluto is the planet all about transformation and power. It is the higher octave of Mercury, and it is the planet that governs Scorpio, death, rebirth, transformation, power, secrets, even the underworld, and kind of that deep knowledge, right? So with Pluto being in Capricorn and Earth sign, all about power, structure, can pertain to our material resources, which can include our financial systems and money, but it also deals with governmental systems. So Pluto had been in Capricorn since 2008. It is important to, as we leave this Pluto and Capricorn cycle, look at kind of the themes at the beginning and the end, because we can see a lot of the energies of these transits come out, especially in the beginning when the planet first moves into the sign. Excuse me, let me get some water. So I'm not so froggy-throated with y'all. Okay, so Pluto in Capricorn, with Capricorn governing top-down control, government power systems, control and power that very much has to do with the tangible, the material world. That in 2008, when Pluto first came into Capricorn, what was happening in the world around that time? A financial crisis. Governments had to bail out the housing market, the banking market. I mean, a lot of big businesses had to be rescued during that time by their governments. So that happened right when Pluto went into Capricorn. Now, at the end of this cycle, I've heard it likened to, and I like this analogy, but the planet is tired. So don't expect that I'm not trying to shock anyone and scare y'all and be like, we're having another financial crisis right now. Well, we are seeing that a little bit with the imbalance where all the resources have been siphoned to the top, to the few, and there's very little for the larger collection of us at the bottom, right? So in our own way, there's a different kind of crisis going on, but not perhaps the same way that we saw in 2008. So this is all about breaking down those structures that we've had in place, which include our governmental structures, our structures that are more regulated and centralized. All of that is changing and frankly breaking down if it's not built on really solid foundations, and not much is when I look around at what's happening, because it's all been very bloated by greed, by corruption, by control and manipulation, those darker negative aspects of Capricorn. So whenever we have Pluto transiting, it's a really big opportunity for us as humanity to look at these elements, these themes, and decide, because it's going to be right in our faces, is this what we want in our reality? And then make a conscious choice to, like, we're not going to live in that energy space, okay? And it's interesting because a lot of the time you have to kind of come inward for that in order to take out all the muss and fuss. You almost have to refocus a lot on the self, on your own world around you, your smaller world around you, in order to, it's not to ignore what's going on, but almost like you have to take away all that outside chatter, right? In order to regain what's really important, the focus on what's really important. So Pluto moving into Aquarius is challenging all those top-down power structures, because Aquarius is the sign of revolution. It is revolutionary thinking and action, the sign of justice, community, humanity. It governs and oversees a lot of science and scientific advancement and development, technology, and is connected to Uranus, the sky god. Uranus is a very unpredictable energy. It is it's the bringer of storms, but it is also in mythology the god of the universe and the sky. It is one of the oldest kind of creator gods that exist, at least in Western mythology. Uranus, that, you know. So this is a big shift again away from power of the few at the top. And it's a longer, again, we're not going to see this shift overnight. We're not going to see it in a week, a month, a year. Pluto will be in Aquarius until 2044. This is a 20-year transit. Just had to make sure I looked at the math. Yes, 20-year transit. Okay, so these things will not happen overnight. And you'll see why when we dive back into the history of past Pluto in your Aquarius cycles. But what we do need to keep in mind, at least those of us here in America, where I am based in the US, that this is a Pluto return when Pluto goes into Aquarius, meaning that Pluto is in the place where it was when the US was born, right? And the way that astrologers calculate that is by using the date of the signing of a declaration or some sort of, official act that established the government. And so in America, we use the signing of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776. And this is going to be a Pluto return for America. When we have planets doing their return, it's like, what have we learned from this cycle, right? What have we learned from the last time that Pluto was in Aquarius was in 1777 to 1798. So what have we learned since then, America, right? That's what's coming up. What have we learned about power? How have we transformed power, right? How have we known the good and the bad that comes with power? And especially when it comes to having more equitable power, not just taking away power from those at the top, like Pluto in Capricorn, where it's just top-down power. It's not about taking away and giving to someone else. This is about redistributing power equitably amongst everyone. So everyone's on the same playing field in Aquarius energy. This is also coming up in 2025, going to be the Uranus return for the good old US of A. So from 2025 till 2032, Uranus will be in Gemini. And that will be where Uranus, that is where Uranus was when, again, at the time of America's founding. Uranus was in Gemini, Pluto was in Aquarius. So this is going to be a very momentous time, tumultuous, I will say, for America, where a lot of our country will be called to re-examine its relationship with power, and there will be a challenge to redistribute that power more equitably amongst the masses. So the themes that we can expect to see during this Pluto in Aquarius cycle for the next 20 years are themes of, again, community, humanitarianism. With Aquarian energy, it is the humanitarian of the zodiac. So we're going to see more of the organization of smaller community groups and peoples around shared values, right? And missions. Whereas Capricorn is very much a centralized power source energy. And again, Pluto, power, right? Capricorn, power and control. Aquarius is all about decentralization. So that's what, I mean, big moves coming probably for America in the next few years and decades, couple of decades. I don't think it will not look like the same America as in November 19th, 2024, when we leave this cycle. That's my gut telling me. Because Aquarius is all about innovation and revolutionary thinking, we're going to see a lot of intellectual and societal movement and ideas come about, advances in science, medicine, and technology. We're going to see a boom probably with AI technology. There's going to be, again, with this, we can't be all lollipops and sunshines, right? About like, it's going to be like a kumbaya kind of period. That energy exists and is there with Pluto in Aquarius, but there are also shadow sides to all of this. And we can see very much all these shadow sides and imbalances in our Pluto in Capricorn systems that we're coming out of, right? How top-down power, bloated on the top, very little at the bottom, doesn't lead to a long-lasting system of stability, structure, health, wealth, well-being. I don't mean wealth always monetarily, but like again, you have your health, got your wealth. So there are kind of things to look out for, these shadow aspects of how Pluto and Aquarius energy can be used. Aquarian, in its darker and negative aspects, lower frequency vibrations, I'll say, represent rigid viewpoints. It is a fixed sign. So my fixed signs are up this time. It just left Capricorn, which is a cardinal sign. So now my fixed signs are on a journey. So that's going to be Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus, and Leo. But Aquarians, that shadow side, it can be very strict and rigid with its understanding of the word humanitarian. Okay? There can be an authoritarian or tyrannical operating operation or focus. Sorry, I'm at a loss of words for that one, but it can almost be authoritarian or tyrannical when Aquarius is operating from a negative space, its darker sides. There is a manipulative aspect of like mind control and deliberately trying to shape our beliefs of the world or our views. So be very aware of that, especially as these advances in science, medicine, and technology come up, because AI is here. And we need to bring into our mindset and our energy space. Okay, no, let me rephrase that. We don't want to bring these negative aspects into our energy space. Absolutely not. But awareness is key of what these darker expressions of Aquarius can look like. And that can look like mind control and, kind of like where we're going with AI and technology. This might be a cycle where we see the offering of, oh, for convenience, have a chip implanted in you and you can just tap and pay as you go for just, think for what, a couple extra seconds of convenience. What do we give up with that once we make that leap forward into technology, technological advancement? Maybe that's what some of us want. So it's just, Aquarius is, again, revolutionary. So it's going to bring in a lot of changes, family. And let's get into some of those changes right now as we look at past Pluto and Aquarius cycles. So I'm going to be walking us back a couple thousand years. Okay, we can go back. And Pluto in Aquarius has been in Aquarius, again, let me back it up. Let me start that over. Pluto cycles are to go around the zodiac wheel once completely are about 248 years, I believe. Okay. So again, if we go back 248 years, we land in 1777 to 1798. That was the last time Pluto was in Aquarius. Now, that period saw the American Revolution from 1775 to 1783. It saw the end of the French and Indian War in 1763. It saw the French Revolution, that cycle of Pluto in Aquarius, in 1789 to 1799. All right. So it's important to think about, again, as we go back to the past, what can we learn, especially about humanity and our actions? What can we learn from as we're going through and seeing these cycles again, right? This was the period of the bridge between the Age of Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution, interestingly enough. So again, that revolution, right? That technological advancement with Aquarius and Pluto, and how that really changed the power structures and dynamics around the world once we started having machines come into play a lot more, once we started having automobiles come into play a lot more. And again, I know I'm getting actually a little bit ahead of myself because we're in the 1700s. Automobiles, they still got a way to go. But keep in mind that all those themes of Aquarius, revolution, justice, community, humanity, we can see that in the American Revolution, because why did that happen? Well, those in the American colonies were feeling, frankly, oppressed, especially financially through taxation by the British government, who was in charge and overseeing the colonies in control at that time. So again, think Pluto in Capricorn. Before this revolution happened, think about that Pluto in Capricorn system that led to Pluto in Aquarius with this American Revolution. The independence of America was established in 1776. Okay, so right at the tail end of Pluto in Capricorn. Talk about bucking the system. The French Revolution, the storming of the Bastille, was in 1789. So keep in mind, the Pluto in Aquarius transit then started in 1777. Storming of the Bastille didn't happen until 1789, and then the monarch was executed in 1793. You had to get a good long ways, about 12 years plus, into Pluto in Aquarius before we saw a lot of that shift and upheaval, right? So again, quit thinking that it's all going to happen overnight. It's not. This is going to be a longer cycle that we're going to see over 20 years and then some. Okay. This period and the French Revolution actually ends in 1799 after Pluto moves out of Aquarius and into Pisces with the military coup that Napoleon led. And so with Napoleon coming into power at the beginning of Pluto in Pisces, which will be the cycle after this one. So that's the most recent Pluto in Aquarius cycle. What themes can we take from there, fam? About revolution, about bringing back power to the people, right? And it was led by, again, these were led by smaller community, organized people and groups who shared a similar vision or mission. all themes of Aquarius. If we hop back to 1532 to 1553 was then the previous Pluto in Aquarius period. And that was the period where the scientific revolution began in 1543. Again, not right at the beginning of the Pluto in Aquarius cycle. It takes time to build this energy, okay? There's, again, these darker elements to each of these time periods. If I go back to the 1700s, that is very much a time period, especially here in America, where slavery was in full gear. And it was during this Pluto in Aquarius period where you had Virginia, the state of Virginia, first abolish slavery. And that conversation really starts to come around about the rights of indigenous people and their inherent rights, frankly. So again, that Aquarius humanitarian energy, challenging power, but there's also very much a darkness there as well, right? That like absolute control, tyranny, authoritarianism. So if we back it up, let's go back to 1532 to 1553. Yes, we did have the scientific revolution began with Copernicus and his publishings about his understanding of the universe, right? Challenging the Catholic Church and their understanding of, thinking that the earth was the center of everything. We also had during that period the Spanish conquest of the Americas and the Caribbean really ramp up into gear. So notice that there is, again, there's light and dark to each of these cycles. Okay. This is where, again, we start seeing the beginnings of the transatlantic slave trade starts in the 1500s, I believe, right after this Pluto in Aquarius cycle. I think I would have to double check. So I'm not sure, but it starts right around here. Okay. And then very notably as well, again, like these dark elements and these lighter elements, when we talk about breaking from established power, breaking down top-down power structures and control structures, this period, 1532 to 1553, where Pluto was in Aquarius, was also the period where Henry VIII broke from the Catholic Church and created the Church of England, right? The Protestant Reformation kind of began with that. And all because he wanted a divorce. So think about that, like the tact and the authority, like he had the authority, he had the shrewdness, he had all the tact that was needed to get that done. And look who he was challenging at that point, the Catholic Church. So very much a challenge to power, right? Of established power at that point. And it's at that moment where we really see a breaking down of this power that this kind of monopoly on power that the Catholic Church had up until that point in England. If we hop back another cycle, let's go back further in time, family, to 1041 to 1063, that Pluto in Aquarius cycle. Well, it has been noted, I guess, by numerous cultures in July of 1054, so kind of right in the middle of that cycle of Pluto in Aquarius, there was a supernova that was observed by numerous cultures and I believe documented. And it was visible and lasted for about a month, I think like 23 days or so. And that supernova is now the Crab Nebula that you can look at through all the amazing NASA photographs that we have of space. I love going through those NASA photographs. Okay, so a lot of, again, Uranus controls the sky. It is the sky god. We have been having more things happening in the sky, declassifications of information about our place in the universe. It's just, that's all Aquarian energy. So again, that makes perfect sense for this Pluto in Aquarius, that we might have a lot of celestial activity to connect us back with those celestial realms. This period of 1041 to 1063 was also the period of the Great Schism. Again, let's get back. There's a lot of connection with Aquarius and Christianity here and the Catholic Church, because the Great Schism in 1054 was where Roman Catholic Church broke and separated from the Eastern Orthodox tradition. Okay, So that was a big deal of the fracturing of the previously united Roman Catholic Church. It was also a very innovative time. If we hop over to China during this period, we had movable print that was invented. And there's also a document, this military treatise of the Song dynasty, and it's the first book. This is 1054 to 1063, that includes formulas for things like gunpowder, bombs, piston-pumped flamethrowers, and magnetic compasses. Aquarius, innovations, new thinking, revolutionary ideas, technology, advancement, health, medicine, science, all of that. Our understanding of the cosmos, that's science, right? So yeah, interesting, right? Like there's these periods, again, there's a lot of upheaval that we can see happening. There's a lot of challenge to power and established power, but there's also great development and I don't want to say enlightenment, but just like these creativity. Let's just keep it simple. Creativity and kind of alchemizing that into the physical, right? That's like we're seeing all this new development, new technology. Now, again, what I am noticing as well as we go back is that there are a lot of instances of oppression, severe oppression over large groups of people that, you know, eventually has been challenged. But that is a theme as well, is like, it's not always like a super peaceful, happy time. Again, it's not all kumbaya. When we have Pluto in Aquarius, we need to see these shadow sides as well to see what is really happening in the world. And so here, you know, we've seen it again with this influx of slavery, transatlantic slave trade during these Pluto in Aquarius cycles. Now, let's hop back a little bit further to 795 to 819. This is still AD, or CE, I should say, Common Era. But from 795 to 819, that was the Islamic Golden Age. We had the development of the Arabic numerals. That's when that time period they emerged. And the term algorithm. How interesting. Especially when we think about AI development now and the algorithms that we need for all of our computer programming and any technology that we have and use on the daily. Our last cycle we're going to talk about is Pluto in Aquarius during the years 305 CE and 330 CE. That was the time where Constantine was the emperor of Rome. Now, Constantine is known for bringing Christianity to the Roman Empire and really solidifying that into the day-to-day life of Romans across the entire Roman Empire. Okay, and it was large at that point. Okay, when Constantine was in charge, it controlled a lot, the Roman Empire. This means, again, just thinking, pulling back a little bit, well, what does this mean? He introduced Christianity. Yeah, okay, so he introduced Christianity. Well, that is a shift, remember, away from these polytheistic religions and spirituality beliefs, so many gods, into a monotheistic one God. That's a huge shift. Talk about manipulation and control of people's belief and worldview. Again, that kind of, I'm going to say dark side of Aquarius, because like the tactics that were used to get that, push that religion through, you know, probably weren't all nice and friendly. But, you know, again, it's interesting to think about like the power that can be harnessed from, again, Pluto in Aquarius, and that kind of ingenious kind of thinking, that outside of the box revolutionary thinking can go really far and shake up a lot of things, right? We can see through history. And we can see, so again, the solidifying of Christianity, we can see at, for example, in 325, at the end of this cycle of Pluto in Aquarius, with the Council of Nicaea. Now, the Council of Nicaea solidified Easter as an official holiday for the Roman Empire. So that kind of like put the stamp of seal on, like, this is the official government religion. Y'all are, you know, here it is. Here's our celebrations. So we can see, again, a lot through our history as humanity, that these cycles in Aquarius have been a cycle of Pluto in Aquarius, pardon me, where we see a lot of great change happening in a, frankly, very fast period of time. I know 20 years doesn't seem fast, but listen, again, on the universal scale, it is quite rapid. So remember that this is going to be a time of, I don't want to say great upheaval, but things are going to change. You know, power structures are going to change. And it's important that as this old system breaks down, family, that we build this new system, not through these dark negative aspects, again, leaning on convenience, leaning on, ooh, it's shiny and like, ooh, I'm interested. It's shiny and sparkly. I want that. Like, don't let it, like the temptations, like we need to be very sound mind and kind of thinking about the darker elements of Aquarius energy in Pluto, which very much can have to do with controlling the masses. And so it can also, again, light side of Pluto, of Aquarius energy and Pluto and Aquarius can be about power to the people. So it's all about choices. It's your choice which side you choose as we move through this completely new path, this new paradigm, this new reality for humanity, family. Let me know what you thought about my long ramble through our timeline of Pluto and Aquarius. I have so enjoyed being with y'all and sharing this information. I really love doing the deep dive. I love bringing in the mythic elements and the historical elements. I just find that there can be so much power in knowing where we've been through as humanity and what we can learn from those experiences of our ancestors, right? So that we don't keep repeating these old cycles, because the energy is rife, like I talked about at the beginning. We're not in the same place in the universe as these other previous cycles with Pluto and Aquarius. This is brand new opportunity for us as humanity to step forward in seizing our inherent, I will say, like our right to sovereignty and our own power from the self. And again, we need to be spreading that love, building that community, reaching out and helping those around us, not trying to control those, not trying to manipulate. So lean into that heart-centered energy for this transit, and sending y'all so much love. I want to hear from y'all, fam. Leave me some comments how this energy has been settling in with you, because I know we've been feeling it. For like the last year, we've been feeling it. All right, so let me hear from y'all. I'm so interested. Sending y'all so much love. Bye, fam.